So hey everyone, this is Makenna. She's a senior at Richland High. That's hard for me to say because I live in Pasco, so I mean, oh man, I'm just joking. Go Bombers.
It's go Bombers.
So she's gonna tell a little bit of her story of just her journey. And what's cool about Makenna is she was in your guys' seats not that long ago. She's getting ready to graduate, which is crazy cool. But first and foremost, what do you love most about playing sports? And how does being active make you feel?
So my favorite thing about playing sports is just the competition and the way it almost creates an escape from just doing everyday life. It gets us as it comes to a muscle memory at one point. And so you just go out there and have fun with your friends and you just create that great community with people. Part of the question?
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
And how did you get involved with FCA, and what has been your favorite part of just being involved in general?
So I got involved first in 7th grade. One of my friends invited me to go, and so I went. But I really got involved my junior year of high school because I coached 6th and 7th grade basketball after no longer playing basketball, and it's really impacted my faith journey of just pushing me to be better in my faith and continue to grow my relationship with God and just show that you don't have to just be a competitor, you can also be a friendly competitor and just show the light of God through your sport.
That's good. So who here has ever had a hard moment in a sport before? A challenging moment, right? As an athlete or even as a coach. So share with us a time in your journey as an athlete where you faced something hard and you had to respond to it. And how did you respond and what grounded you in that response?
So this year I play for a very competitive sports teams within Richland. So Richland's very, very competitive within their sports. And so I was my first year on varsity, but I didn't necessarily play as much as everyone else. So I had to find my role, which was the hardest part about being a high school senior and not knowing necessarily your role. And I had to dig deep within, especially postseason, of finding my role and just cheering on my teammates. I might have not gotten all the playing time that everyone else got, but I was there on the bench. I was there uplifting people because I knew that's what I needed to be in that moment and be that light of God for my other teammates. And I took it as more of a grounding moment and what would Jesus do in this moment? Not what would the athlete side do of it?
That's good. And just like a lot of these athletes, they're trying to balance school, sports, hanging out with friends, listening to their moms and dads or whoever they live with, right? And they're growing up and things are changing mentally, physically, all of it, right? So it's how did you handle that as you grew up? And how did you balance all of that? There's a lot to balance in our young people's worlds these days.
Yeah. Just setting up times and making sure you're say, oh, I'm gonna do sports for this. This is when my sports are, and when sports is over, I'm done with that, and I'm moving on to the next thing. Not just staying the extra time, giving yourself, kind of making yourself a schedule of knowing when to go, and making sure you're dedicating the time to do the things with your friends, with your family, because before you know it, you'll be graduating.
In the midst of all that, let's bring it to Jesus. How did you first learn about Jesus? What was that encounter? Where was that encounter? How did you encounter him? And what is the relationship with Jesus? What does that mean to you?
So I really didn't grow up very much in a church. I played sports all through, and so Sundays would be our break day, so we wouldn't go. But I knew about church. I knew he loved me. I knew all the basics. But I really didn't get into my faith until 6th grade. My dad had a kidney transplant, and it was so hard and just trying to push through because I was still playing soccer. I was still playing soccer at that point. So my parents were in Seattle while I was at home, and so luckily we had a family friend take me to Bethel's youth, and I fell in love with that youth, and I was I want to create a relationship with God because a relationship with God has brought so much joy and just so much fulfillment in my life that the world couldn't give me. And the thing about my relationship with God, it's not perfect. It will never be perfect because nothing's perfect except God and Jesus. It just means so much to me that you guys get to see that light and that you guys are growing up in that community already within sports because I didn't, and I'm so happy you guys are.
Awesome. And is there a Bible story, a Bible verse, or a message that you've heard over these last few years that you lean into in times where you need strength?
So, especially when I'm running, because I do not like cardio, I don't. I always go back to Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through God who strengthens me, which just brings me so much power of knowing that you can do, even when even one of my girls said today, this is hard. I don't think this is the hardest thing we've done. I said, no, nothing's that hard if you put your mind to it, if you use Jesus. So that's what I always go back to, and what I strive to do. Like, CrossFit is so hard, but like I'm like, oh, but I can do it. God pushes me. Like, I got this. So that's my favorite.
That's awesome. All right, let's fast forward to your coaching career now, right?
Gosh, yeah.
What do you enjoy most about coaching, and what's one lesson that you hope that your team remembers?
Gosh, I love the relationship you create with each and one of your players. That, like, each girl, you get to learn more about them, breaking them out of their shell, and just like seeing the growth is just my favorite part. And just like they like at first they'll be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you, but now they're sassing you mid conversation. You're like, okay. But I hope that each girl just learns that like they are loved, and that just because you don't win doesn't mean you aren't good. It doesn't mean you're worthless. You have so much worth in Jesus, and sports is not your worth, and it's not your identity.
That's good. I love that. So we've been saying it all season long to you guys as athletes after the game, is that this scoreboard right there, unfortunately, I hear it from parents every basketball season. I see it from you guys when you score a basket. The first thing you do, what do? Look at the scoreboard. And then what does your grandpa do when the score isn't right? Comes talk to one of our scorekeepers, and that's a fun conversation that I get to have, right? And so we put so much stock in the scoreboard. But I'll come back to that at the end of the night tonight. So just be thinking about that as Makenna just said. Can we give it up for Makenna for being so brave to come up here? I appreciate you.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'm going to say about her, for you young athletes, whether you're 8 or whether you're 12 here today, you guys are not that far from sitting in this chair. It's going to go fast. And the reason why we do what we do with FCA Sports is to hopefully give you guys a firm foundation in Jesus to help you go through those trials, go through the ups and downs, and stay humble when you have the wins. It's not just about learning from your losses, it's about learning to stay humble in your wins. And that's not who you are either. Your wins don't define who you are either. So let's give it up for her one more time. Awesome job.